pack of cards has 52 faces all different and 52 backs all the same. And it's the backs we see first, whether we're playing a game of cards or doing a magic trick. It doesn't matter which card is which. We're only looking at the backs. For many people, unfortunately, accountants are like business cards. They think we're all the same. They don't even get to meet us to see what we're like. And it's only when they do get to know us that we get the opportunity to highlight what makes us stand out, what makes us different to all the other accountants out there. If I was to ask you to think, just to think of any one of the 52 cards in the pack, a card that stands out for you in some way. Not to say anything out loud, just to think of any one of the 52 cards in the pack. You might be thinking of this one, the Ace of Spades, which really does, of course, stand out from the pack. But it's only because of its size and because we've heard of it before. Well, I'm going to share with you this afternoon are 7 strategies that you can use to stand out from your competitors, from other accountants, to win more work so that you can be better remembered, referred, and recommended. Is that what you're here for this afternoon? Yep, that's what we're going to cover. I'm going to offer you 7 standout strategies. They run from A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I will explain each one as we go. And at the end, I'll tell you how you can get hold of a set of the slides and some supporting notes as well, and some other freebies as well that might be of use and interest to you. You don't have to use all 7 strategies. You will identify 1 or 2 as being much more appealing to you than anything else. And by the way, best of all, these strategies are especially for accountants who don't want to spend a fortune on marketing and branding. Does that sound good? So the first one, A. Now I have to get past A quite quickly because A principally stands for appearance and attitude. I like to think I've got the right sort of attitude. My appearance leaves something to be desired as I get a little older and as my wife refuses to buy clothes for me. How many accountants can you think of who stand out because of their appearance? Well, in fact, take a look around the room and see if anybody stands out to you in a positive way. There's a lot of people who look like accountants. Got a couple of people at the front here in bright blue t-shirts. You stand out as much because there's 2 of you as anything else. There's a lady over there in a lovely yellow dress, which reminds me, the first time I asked this question, and I don't know you, and I won't be embarrassing you, but it reminds me of the first time I asked this question in an audience of accountants. Everybody immediately turned and looked at a lady wearing yellow. She also had a yellow hat on. Now, what was interesting was that she wasn't deliberately dressing to be conspicuous. She just liked wearing yellow. She had no idea that wearing a bright yellow outfit wherever she went meant that she stood out and was referred to as the yellow accountant. Now, okay, it's not a great brand, but her appearance helped her to stand out from other accountants. Appearance is not just about the clothes that you wear. Appearance is also about whether you look messy and scruffy or smart, whether you stand in a confident way or a not very confident way, whether you look approachable with a smile or miserable. Your attitude. Do you have a positive, enthusiastic attitude and approach? Maybe a commanding voice. Or do you speak with a rather high-pitched voice that rather damages your credibility because it's not quite what people expect? I must be very clear there. That is not to denigrate anybody who naturally has a high-pitched voice and is unable to do anything about it. You have to accept that that's going to make you stand out, and you have to go with it. Because when it comes to appearance and attitude, you can build on your natural talents, build on what you like, or you can attempt to go and do things a little bit differently. Here are 6 characteristics that you probably want to be able to evidence and demonstrate. Your passion for accountancy. Okay, you've got to be very careful here that you don't overstep the mark. A little bit too passionate about accountancy, people will think you're odd. Your professionalism. You're confident. Who wants to go to an accountant who doesn't have any confidence? You're determined to get the best results for clients. You're enthusiastic about what you do. You are only going to get referrals and recommendations if you're enthusiastic, really. You're only going to get lots of them if you're enthusiastic. And finally, having a degree of charm really helps. Now, if you don't have any of these skills, but appearance and attitude is where you want to focus, then get yourself some coaching from somebody who helps with personal branding or confidence coach. There are people who provide these services. I don't. It's not my bag, but there are people who do these things. And if you have more confidence, if your personal branding is stronger, you will win more work and you will get more referrals and recommendations than those accountants who are not very good at these things. How many people in the room have an account on LinkedIn? Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your hands in the air. Those of you who don't have your hand up, look around. You're competing with all of these people who have an account on LinkedIn. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate as the afternoon wears on, you're going to be less inclined to put your hands up. It's tiring, I know. So thank you for indulging me at the start of the talk. I ask about LinkedIn because your appearance and attitude doesn't only matter face to face. It also impacts whether people want to engage with you if they first come across you online. And increasingly, they will come across you online through LinkedIn. If you meet somebody at an event and they recommend somebody else to you, if somebody looks up your name, even if you've got a really well-optimized website and a great profile page on your website, almost certainly your LinkedIn profile will appear first. And a lot of people click on the first result. Does your LinkedIn profile give the right impression of you? Does it make people want to engage with you or to approach you? This is not a talk about LinkedIn. I do those, but that's not for today. But here are some very quick mistakes that people make with LinkedIn. The first one is they don't have a picture on there. They really do look like everybody else. Nobody knows who they are. I knew David when he arrived today because I've seen his picture on LinkedIn and indeed on Twitter a number of times. There's other reasons too, but we won't go into that. A number of people who've said hello to me here today because we recognize each other's faces from Twitter and LinkedIn, occasionally from Facebook. But that's another story. You must, if you're going to have a profile on LinkedIn, make sure you've got a decent professional headshot there, not a logo. LinkedIn is not where you put your business logo except on your business page. Business logo, there's no point. If you're going to put a photo up, make sure it's a professional photo. If you're looking to engage clients and with people with this sort of laid-back style, if that's you naturally, okay. Personally, I don't think it's a great photo for LinkedIn, for a professional website. This is Andy. This is Andy's LinkedIn profile picture. Nope, I don't know which one is Andy either. This is Stephen, likes a drink. Not a great image for a professional website. This is Kathy. It's a nice picture. Well, unfortunately, a bit too far away. This is a professional networking site. I want a picture of Kathy's face so I can recognize her when I meet her, not a picture of her sitting in her office, looking uncomfortable. This final photo that I'm about to put up is a rather odd one. Because when you see it, you will think, well, that's a rubbish photo. to put on LinkedIn, and indeed it is. However, I guarantee if you ever see Marcus Kauke at a networking event, you will recognize him from that photo. He's a friend of mine, he knows I put the photo up. Normally I would say it was rubbish. But Marcus always wears a blue shirt, always wears red braces, and yes, he is that size. So you will recognize him. So he's the exception that proves the rule. So let me finish the A section here by offering you this tweetable quote, if you're into Twitter. How you look and how you behave will always impact whether you stand out positively. Your attitude matters more than anything, your attitude with people. So many accountants have got a lousy attitude. They look miserable, they look unhappy, they're not enthusiastic, they're not positive and confident. It's really easy to stand out when you think about it compared to all the accountants who just don't get it. Attitude is everything. Be the best you can. So, that's A. Let's move on to B. B stands for business messaging and branding. But Mark, you said this was a session for people, accountants, who don't want to spend a fortune on marketing and branding, and indeed it is. Because I'm not suggesting you spend a fortune on marketing and branding. It can help if you've got clever branding. There's a number of accountants who've got very clever branding, and they may or may not have spent a lot of money on it, but you don't have to have clever branding. What you do have to be able to do is to articulate your business message more effectively than the average accountant. Do we have any average accountants in the room? Okay, I'm going to accept that nobody's put their hands up because it's late in the afternoon. Because I know some of you are thinking, well, I am, but I'm not putting my hand up. How you articulate your business message. How many people in the room have heard of the concept of a USP, a unique sales proposition? Yeah, it's rubbish, isn't it? Unique means like no other. How many people in the room are an accountant who provides services like no other? You are very unlikely, that'd be the odd one. You are very unlikely to have a unique selling proposition, a unique sales proposition, a unique sales promise. So don't worry about trying to create one. What you want to be able to do is to have a business message. Whoops, I went backwards. There we go. What you do want is a business message that people can remember. Have you heard of the concept of an elevator pitch? An elevator pitch, we get told, you've got to practice this when you go to networking events. You've got to be able to say what you do in the same speed it would take, same time it would take, to get from the ground floor to the 6th floor in an elevator. That's American for lift. The problem is, so many accountants find this a bit of a puzzle. It's a bit of a puzzle because what we tend to do as accountants is we tend to talk about all the things we do for all the different types of people we do them for. And that confuses people. Now you may wonder why I am holding a Rubik's Cube here. And I can tell you quite simply, it is because a Rubik's Cube provides a perfect analogy for explaining the benefits of moving from a confused message to a straightforward, clear, consistent message. Yes, I am a member of the Magic Circle, so I'm not allowed to tell you how I did it. Thank you. The analogy, though, is that you may have a different message for different types of people, but a clear, consistent message that resonates with the people that you're with. How do you know what that message needs to be? Well, that depends on you listening carefully and understanding who they are, what their needs are, so that you can then tailor your message to suit them. And if you're at a business networking event, please do not try and say all the things you do each time. Talk about one particular service line or one particular type of client at each event. Don't worry that you're missing out on opportunities for all the people who are there who don't know about all the other things you do. They were not going to buy from you because you were at a flipping networking event anyway. You get business by building relationships with people, not by turning up at events and shoving a business card in their face. Does that make sense? Your business message might involve referencing a particular brand, like the super duper awesome accountant. Personally, I prefer the yellow accountant, but there are other variations on that. You could have a specialist area like VAT expertise, maybe Little Miss Accountant. I quite like that one. Focus on being an expert in a particular area. Maybe you focus on a particular niche. Maybe you offer 100% guarantee. How many people in the room offer 100% guarantee on their services? For the benefit of those at the front, nobody at the back put their hand up either. By the way, and some of you have already heard me say this today, when I do talks like this for lawyers, bankers, financial advisors, and I ask people to put their hands up, the people at the front always turn around to have a look and see what everybody else has done. When I do this talk for accountants, nobody at the front ever turns around. They don't care what anybody else does. Well, I don't do it, so I'm not putting my hand up. I don't care what anybody else does. That's fine. All accountants are the same. I mean, you're not. But see, even I'm in danger of thinking it sometimes. There's one accountant in the room who really stands out because she's written a number of books. How many people in the room have written a series of 4 or 5 books for clients? So I'm only referencing Anna because she's here. And in fact, Anna tweeted a couple of times that she was coming. We've never met before, but when I first encountered her, she very kindly sent me a copy of her book, Accountants Don't Bite. I referenced it and reviewed it in my column on Accounting Web. Since then, she's done the Quick and Easy Guide to Bank Reconciliations, Stress-Free Tax Returns, Sole Trader or Limited Company. If you were meeting an accountant who references these 4 books, or maybe shows you the 4 books, gives one to you, are you going to be more inclined to talk to them than any other accountant? It's great. And I don't think I'm giving anything away when I say these books did not take you months and months and months of time and effort to produce. It was a culmination of pulling together existing knowledge and taking advice from experts who know how to do these things in order to produce the books and secure. Your business is growing on the back of producing these books, Anna? And I've heard Anna being interviewed on business podcasts as well, again, because she stands out from other accountants, because business people are interested in hearing from accountants who do things a little bit differently. And I only showed the books because I knew Anna was, well, I borrowed the books from her so that I could do that because I knew she was going to be here. I think I was going to do the Rubik's Cube at that point. What's happened? Oh no, I know that, sorry. Sorry, thank you. So let me finish the B section by referencing, giving you a tool that you can use that I think you'll find helpful. When you're talking about your business message and what you do, what really matters is the value that you provide to your clients. They know that you do accounts and tax returns. You're a flipping accountant. They expect that. They take that for granted. What do you do that clients value? What peace of mind do you give them? What stories can you tell them of clients of yours who've been delighted with the service that you've provided? Clients of yours who had a problem, an issue, a challenge, or a difficulty that as a result of engaging you, they felt a lot better about and no longer have to worry. They now produce stress-free tax returns or whatever. Building those stories are really important ways to distinguish yourself from other accountants through your business messaging. I work with a number of sole practitioner accountants. Some subscribe to the Successful Practice Pack, which is a weekly email series. Some attend webinars that I run. Some of those in London come to face-to-face meetings. Some of the things we focus on are dealing with issues like this, helping clarify messages, helping identify the value that you provide, practicing your stories so that they are powerful and impactful, and help you get referrals, recommendations, and win more work. But here is a quick tool you can use yourself. It's an acronym for radar. That's why there's a picture of radar there. Radar stands for identify your business, what you think is your business message, and then check. Is it relevant to the people that you're talking to? Is it appropriate to them? If it's not appropriate to them, don't bother saying it. Is it authentic? Is it believable? Is it distinct from what all the other accountants are saying, non-standard? Is it accurate? Is it honest? You won't have credibility if you're not honest. And finally, is it repeatable? That's really key. And again, it comes back to this idea of if you give people a whole shopping list of all the types of clients you can act for and all the types of things you can do, nobody remembers that. They can only remember little things. And I'm afraid I always use an example here of a financial advisor rather than an accountant, because I have yet to encounter an accountant who, on first meeting them, gives me something more memorable than this. Financial advisor stood up at one of the events I was facilitating, networking training, I think, and she said, I'm a financial advisor. I do all the things you would expect a financial advisor to do, but I specialize in helping divorced women who are over the age of 50 and worried about their financial future. I specialize in helping divorced women who are over the age of 50 and worried about their financial future. What is so clever about that is, first of all, almost everybody in this room is doing exactly what I did. You're thinking, do I know a divorced woman over the age of 50? They're probably worried about their financial future. If I said she specialized in company directors worried about the performance of their company pension, you'd go, your mind wouldn't do the same thing, because everybody's a company director and they're probably all worried about their pension. It doesn't help focus. Do you see how that works, though? I specialize in helping divorced women over the age of 50 worried about their financial future. Okay. It fits the radar test. It's repeatable. Yeah. So let's move on to C, conversational impact. Now, how many people in the room consider themselves more introverted than extrovert? Yeah, a lot of hands going up. A lot of accountants tend to be more introverted than extroverted. The good news, ladies and gentlemen, is that you make better conversationalists than the rest of us. Because introverted people tend to be more willing to listen than to speak. The more you listen, the more you can ensure that when you do speak, what you're saying is relevant to the person that you're with. That's great. You can have more powerful conversations than the average accountant by not talking about the basics, doing the accounts and tax work. Clients know that. People know, lawyers know that. Bankers know that. Of course you do that stuff. You're an accountant. Listening to the people that you're with so that you can focus what you say on what they do, what they're interested in, or what the people they engage with are interested in. So if you're talking to lawyers, financial advisors, or other business people, if you listen to them, what they're talking about, you're better able to make sure that your radar message is relevant to them and that they can repeat it. I'm going to offer you here what I call the 4 suits approach to having more powerful conversations. I'm going to offer you the 4 suits approach to having more powerful conversations. We're back to cards again. The 4 suits, the first one is spades. At the beginning of a conversation, dig around with your metaphorical spade, asking questions, being interested in the person that you're with. People will find you more interesting if you are interested in them. Ask good questions. When you've asked good questions, you've been digging around with your spade, you can then move on to the second suit, and that's hearts. Because now we're looking to form an emotional connection, not a romantic connection, although This four suits approach works equally well in social and romantic scenarios as it does in business scenarios. An emotional connection means you're finding a way, something we have in common, something that we share. It might be simply the hassle in arriving at the venue. It could be an interest in the same football team. It could be a similar background. It could be something family related. It could be business focused. If you've asked the right questions, you've identified a way in which you can form an emotional connection, heartfelt, so that the other person is instinctively going, oh, they're a bit like me. People like dealing with people who are a bit like them in some way. Yeah? Spades, hearts. Now we're on to clubs. Again, if you form the emotional connection, you can now identify, and you've asked the right questions, you can tell stories about clients of yours who are in the same club as the person you're with or as the people they know. When I say they're in the same club, not physically, they're in the same situation. They have the same challenges, same issues, same problems. You talk about clients who you've dealt with and helped, who the person you're with can relate to. So if you've been listening well, you will know which client stories to tell that will resonate with the person that you're with. There's a whole science to telling stories powerfully. I don't have time for that today. It's addressed in some of the materials that I supply to accountants and share with accountants. So we've had spades, we've had hearts, we've had clubs. The fourth suit is... Look, I know I said I was a member of the Magic Circle. That doesn't mean I read minds. Diamonds. Diamonds, of course, are valuable, and this is in some respects the most valuable part of the conversation, is what do you do afterwards by way of follow-up. News alert. Guess what F stands for when we go through A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We'll be back to follow-up. What can you promise to do by way of follow-up after the conversation? And then keep that promise. Because that's what makes the conversation most powerful, is that it continues after it apparently finished. Most people, most accountants don't do it. It's really easy to stand out by making your conversations more powerful, following the four suits approach, not three, the four suits approach. Okay? Four suits approach makes conversations more powerful and memorable so you can stand out positively. Oops. Excuse me just a second. A, B, C, D. D stands for dependability and trustworthiness. What do you want people to say about you when you are no longer in the room? What do you want people to say about you when you are not in the room? You want them to highlight your positive qualities. You want them to be aware of your positive qualities, in particular that you are dependable and that you can be trusted. I will be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, the key word here is trust, but that would mess up the A, B, C, D, E, F, G. What do you want people to say about you when you're not there? How's your integrity? Are you one of these people who claims to be able to do all things for all people? Very rarely has integrity. That's very rarely considered to be that honest. And it's very rarely true. There are people in this world who we trust. There are people in this world we don't trust. And there are people whom we don't know well enough yet to know whether we trust them. Yeah? How can you get people to trust you quicker than any other accountant they might know other than the one that they've been dealing with for a long time? How do you get people to trust you quickly? Again, I don't read minds. Let's turn it around. I meant figuratively, not literally. How do you know when you can't trust somebody? We tend not to trust people who make promises and then break their promise. Yeah? We tend not to trust people who make promises and then break their promise. So, how can you trust people? How can you get people to trust you quickly? Make a promise and keep your promise. I've only just met them. What on earth could I promise them? Well, you could promise to do something by way of follow-up and then do it. By the way, do you know what F stands for when we get to it? Probably do by now. This is a conference for accountants. I thought we should have an obligatory bullet point slide because I know you missed them. I mean, the graphics are nice, but you wanted bullet points, didn't you? I know, I did. The key attributes you're looking to prove quickly are that you are dependable, you're trustworthy, you're competent, you're honest, you're reliable. Essentially, this all goes to speak to your reputation. What reputation are you building up? What do you want people to say about you when you're not there? If you build up a more positive reputation than the other accountants, you will stand out from the other accountants. You will be perceived as more than just another accountant. It all comes down to what do you want them to say when you're not there. Really important question. And answer that question and you will be more than just another accountant. A, B, C, D, we're on to E. E stands for experience, expertise and endorsements. When you're talking to people about your experience and your expertise, how relevant do you make it to them? I'm a chartered accountant. So what? I'm a chartered certified accountant. Well, I thought that was chartered. Is it any different? Do I care? I'm a qualified accountant. Well, I thought all accountants were qualified. I've been in practice for 35 years. Yeah, so you're a boring... Oh. Thank you. Not for me, was it? When you talk about your expertise and your experience, if you speak about it in ways that make it clearly relevant to the person that you're with, you will be perceived as more than just another accountant. It's how you get your message across that really counts. You need to express it with confidence. It needs to be credible. It needs to be consistent. It ties into this whole concept of your business messaging. But especially when you're talking about your experience, make it relevant to the people that you're with. This is endorsements on LinkedIn. I'm very fortunate. I have hundreds and hundreds of endorsements on LinkedIn. That's just the sort of top 10 or so. LinkedIn endorsements used to be a bit of a game. If you're on LinkedIn, if you know enough people, LinkedIn will say to them, whenever they look at your profile, oh, does David have expertise in business plans? And you look at David's profile and you go, well, I don't know. But if he's asking me to endorse him for this, he probably does. So you say yes. Then it says, does David have expertise in VAT? And you go, well, I don't know. But if he's asking me, I'll tick it and say he does. And David goes, I don't know anything about VAT. But I do know about business plans. What LinkedIn does is LinkedIn says, lots of people who know about business plans also know about VAT. Let's see if the people visiting David's profile also want to endorse him for VAT. It doesn't mean that they really think he's got expertise in VAT. You have profiles on LinkedIn. If you are getting endorsed for skills you don't have, remove those skills from your profile. You don't have to accept endorsements for skills you don't have. If you only have a few endorsements and you don't know hundreds or even thousands of people, remove the whole area of skills and endorsements from your profile because it damages your credibility. Endorsements can be really useful as a way of evidencing your credibility if you accumulate lots of them. One of the reasons I've got so many is because I know I'm connected to 5,500 people, most of them accountants, and people seem to I think people think highly of me, which is rather nice. Endorsements is completely separate to recommendations. Recommendations, you have to be connected to somebody, and then you can recommend them for a particular service. You write it out. It's a bit like a testimonial. I love getting recommendations. Endorsements are very nice, but recommendations are where it's really at. But just be careful you don't damage your own credibility on LinkedIn by having an endorsement section that is pretty rubbish. Compare yours to accountants down the road. Are they being endorsed for skills that you've got that you'd like to be endorsed for? Ask the people who know you to go to your profile and endorse you. And then LinkedIn will see people endorsing you, and we'll ask other people who endorse you for those skills. Question?
The skills are fine, but their picture isn't fine.
Sorry, say that again?
The skills are fine that they're endorsing, but their picture.
No, sometimes their pictures aren't great. Those are the pictures of the people who've endorsed me most recently. So I've got, when you get over 99 endorsements, it only shows you the sort of top 15 or so, and it doesn't tell you how many endorsements there are. Top 2 or 3 on here, hundreds. Further down, only 100 or so. It varies enormously. But remember, your picture, and there's another reason for having your picture on LinkedIn, your picture goes alongside your name and your headline wherever, whatever you do on LinkedIn. So it's quite nice. I look at this and I go, oh yeah, I recognize some of those people, and I could thank them when I see them for the fact they endorsed me. Explain how clients benefit from your expertise and experience if you want to rely on this to stand out positively. Don't attempt to rely on your expertise and experience unless you can express it in ways that's relevant to the people that you're with. A, B, C, D, E, F. Can anybody guess what F stands for? F stands for follow-up and familiarity. The more often you go to networking events, the more often people will be familiar with you, you with them. You'll build up closer relationships than the accountants who don't go regularly, if that's the way that you want to try and build your practice. Following up after you meet people is what most accountants don't do. It's really easy to stand out from all the others if you do what the others don't do. Are you good with business cards? To give your business card out to everybody you meet? Are you one of these people who just shoves business cards at people? I'm seeing a number of people shaking their heads going, nobody does that anymore, do they? Sadly, yes, they do. Nobody refers work to a business card. This is similar to a stack of business cards I found in my office Christmas 2 years ago. I went through that stack of business cards. Do you know, half the time, it didn't even tell me what business the person was in. Some of them were obviously accountants, but it didn't even say accountant on the business card. When I get somebody's business card, I hope that there is space on it for me to write down the date we met, where we met, and what I've promised to do by way of follow-up. Because if I meet more than 2 or 3 people, I might forget. So I write it down. I hate business cards you can't write on, because I think they fail one of their prime functions, which is to make it easy for the other person to keep in touch with you. And if they want to write on it to remember why they want to keep in touch with you, you have to make it easy for them. My own business card, see, I changed jackets and I don't have one in my pocket. Oh, that's a real shame. Never mind. My own business card is in the shape of a bookmark, like that. That's the back of the card. It's in the shape of a bookmark because online I'm Bookmark Lee. My name is so common I couldn't get any domain names or anything with Mark Lee. So I'm Bookmark Lee. My business card's in the shape of a bookmark. But look, in the middle on the back, there is an action space where I encourage people who've taken my business card to write down what it is they want to do with my card. Is there something specific on my website they want to download? Or have I promised to do something for them they can hold me to account? Good space on the business cards to do that. You don't need my business cards today. You've got a promotional flyer there, which has got all the contact details on it. I think you've probably all got one of these. If not, Nidhi has more. And towards the back, there's a sheet you can tear off. If you put your name and email address on it, I can send you whatever you want out of the boxes that are ticked on here. And I will include links to other things, such as how to obtain LinkedIn profile tips for accountants, and a host of other services that I provide to accountants. If you want them, You're welcome to opt into them. If you don't want them, you don't have to have them. I only want to send stuff to people that they will find of value and will be of use to them. Here's another bullet point slide with some simple ways to follow up. There's a module in the Successful Practice Pack 52-week email course which contains dozens of ways in which you could follow up. This is just a list of about 14 or so of them. Look at the bottom one on the right there. Keep your promises. I don't know how your conversations are going to go with the people that you meet. You might find yourself promising to do something completely unrelated to anything that's on that list, completely unrelated, unexpected. I sometimes find I'm talking to people and I go, oh, I know somebody who'd be a very useful introduction to you. I could introduce them to you or connect you. I do that. I keep my promises. I can't, at an event like today at Accountex, I will have met and spoken to dozens of accountants. I will try and follow up with everybody individually, but inevitably when there's dozens of people involved, it tends to get a little bit more mechanical. But do you know, 2 accountants connected with me this morning and sent me either tweets or messages on LinkedIn saying they look forward to seeing me today. Anna was one. She stands out from everybody else. I often follow up with people or start the follow-up process with people before the event. I look to see who's going to be there, who would I be interested in meeting, and I send them a message. I look to connect with them on LinkedIn. Once I'm connected with them on LinkedIn, if they're speaking after the event, I can then post a recommendation for their talk. Otherwise, I connect with them afterwards. The simple fact that I connected with them or sent a tweet out referencing them helps me to stand out compared to everybody else, because most people don't do it. It's a really easy way to stand out. I'm often asked, out of all the ways in which you could choose to be more than just another accountant, the 7 strategies I'm talking about, which of the 7 do I recommend if I could only recommend one? And the answer is the same every time. F, follow up, because everybody else fails to do it. Be prompt, be proactive, be persistent when you follow up with new prospects and new contacts, and you will stand out and you will win more work. When should you follow up? How often should you follow up? There's a little suggestion there at the bottom left of the slide, 24/7, 30. I don't always manage this myself. Try and follow up within about 24 hours. Not within 2 hours. That gets a little bit spooky. Try and follow up within 24 hours if you can. Then send another follow-up message, something different, within 7 days or so. And then a third one within 30 days or so. No other accountants are doing it. You will stand out from all the rest. Just make sure that what you are providing by way of follow-up is of use and value to the person that you're with. It's not just, I'm very pleased we met today. Ron, I promised to send you my marketing brochure tomorrow. And then you send your marketing brochure, and then a week later you go, did you get my marketing brochure? And then 30 days later you go, can we have a meeting, please, to discuss my services? That's not effective follow-up. That's pushy sales follow-up. Nobody really appreciates that. That's not what I'm suggesting at all. I hope that's clear. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the final of the 7 strategies that can help you to be more than just another accountant. G stands for giving, sharing, and caring. Brings together 4 of the strategies I've already referenced. Following up. What are you going to give people by way of follow-up? Your appearance, your attitude. You have an attitude that comes across as sharing and caring. Most accountants don't. C, your conversational skill. Are you listening so that you can identify what you might want to give people by way of help, support, or follow up? And E, your expertise. Can you reference what you do and help people to a degree? Well, I'm not talking about giving away the crown jewels, but if you give a little bit of advice, if you'll help people if you post online answers to questions on business forums, on LinkedIn or Twitter, whatever, you will stand out from all the accountants who don't do these things. This is your 3rd and final bullet point slide, because I could see you getting restless. We haven't had a bullet point slide for a while. This is your 3rd one. You could there's various ways in which you could evidence your giving nature. There's some samples on the slide there now. I've referenced CSR, which stands for Corporate and Social Responsibility. A lot of accountants are involved in a wonderful charity called B1G1, Buy One, Give One. So of itself, that doesn't enable you to stand out. The important thing, though, is to make sure that you personally are engaged with the charitable activities that your firm is involved with. Otherwise, don't reference them. It's not about what your firm does, it's about what you do. And as I say in the final point there, you need to ensure whatever you're doing, if it's a gift of some sort, that it is of use and it's interesting and valuable to the other person. I said at the beginning that I would offer you some useful tips, useful summary of the 7 strategies. This is available as a free download from my website. You can also get it, because I'll provide a link to it if you want it, if you leave with Nidhi or with myself your details on the tear-off portion of the handout that you have on your seats today. You can also access through that, if we have your details, I'll send you details of the LinkedIn profile tips for accountants, 7 strategies, copies of the slides, and I will offer you the opportunity to have some regular email updates from me. If you don't want them, there's always an unsubscribe button, and you're welcome to unsubscribe. A few accountants do, the vast majority don't. I'm in contact with thousands of accountants that way. Indeed, I think some of you are in the room today. So, to finalize that point, having a genuine caring, giving, sharing and caring approach will help you to stand out and ensure that you stand out positively. You have a choice, as I said earlier. By the way, just before I conclude on this, did anybody see the tweet a few minutes ago inviting you to stand up and take a picture of me and tweet it? You see, somebody told me this was a great thing to do at conferences, and I thought, well, accountants are going to be far too interested and focused on the talk to follow their tweets, and then to see what's being tweeted at the moment. If anybody wants to take a picture and tweet it, that's great. You don't have to do it now, but it's always nice when you're going, Anna's going to do it, because I referenced her book set. She's already got pictures of me with her books. But I will then retweet it and share it with my 7,000 or so followers, and maybe that will mean that other people choose to follow you as well. So the 7 strategies that you might choose to use. Do you remember what they all were? You choose which ones you're most comfortable with. A was for appearance and attitude. B, business branding and messaging. C, conversational impact. D, your dependability and trustworthiness. E, your experience, your expertise, endorsements. F, following up. G, adopting a giving, sharing and caring mentality. You don't have to do all of them. Pick the 1 or 2 that you are most comfortable with to focus on initially. Develop your ability in that area to stand out from other accountants, to be more than just another accountant. I can almost guarantee that if you do some of these things, you will start to win more work, and you will be better remembered, referred and recommended. And then I hope that you will be able to stand out from the crowd, stand out from the pack, and be seen as and spoken of as being more than just another accountant. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying to the end. I'm happy to take questions after the rousing applause, stamping of feet, cheering, so that everybody outside wonders what on earth was going on in this theatre today. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the rest of the show. And don't forget to give your forms to Nidhi on the way out.